Hey everyone, Chris here for Thoman's Guitars and Basses. We're at the NAMM Show 2025. I'm here with Joey at the Martin booth, and we are checking out all their new guitars. The first one is the standard rate. So how are you doing, Joey?
Man, great. Thank you for being here. We're extremely excited. We haven't refreshed the standard series since roughly 2018. And anytime that we're going to refresh a series, typically they're going to come up in price a little bit, but we try and throw as many features as we can in there to where it doesn't look like, hey, they're asking for more money for this. Or like, how are they only asking for that much more money for all the stuff they just threw at it? Okay. We're going to focus on three key things, right? Tone, because everybody wants that classic Martin tone. That's not going to go away. And then we found that after 192 years, people really want us to do stuff like we did in the late 30s. So the more we take a nod to that golden era, the more people seem to resonate with it, especially on the flagship models.
I absolutely agree. As a Martin lover, yeah.
It's funny when a lot of consumers are even nerdier about it than we are. And then when we do these little things and they freak out, you're like, oh, okay, all right, good call.
Good direction, yeah.
So tone, those vintage little nods, and then some modern or contemporary playability. So first off, tone-wise, we put in golden era inspired bracing. This is a little bit different than the golden era bracing you'd find from our custom shop or on an authentic series. It's closer to what we put in the modern deluxe. But the overall idea is the shape of that brace and the size allows the top to resonate more and move more, and similar to what we had in our first golden era. Next thing is we put in bone bridge pins. And I should point out, those bone bridge pins are on all the rosewood models. We're sticking to ebony on all the mahoganies because that makes sense, right? And then while we're down here, we'll talk about some of the playability things. This is our GE Modern Belly Bridge. It's kind of a refined bridge. It's beveled. If you're a palm muter like I am,
okay.
I end up getting guitar rash right here.
Yeah.
And that gone now. And then this is an authentic style fingerboard. It's a thinner fingerboard with a beveled edge. And when you match that up to the modern low oval neck shape, what you find is, or what we found is, it really fills out the meat of your hand. But you can get around and it's more comfortable, it's a little quicker. And then while we're up here, some other vintage style specs. We got the long diamond transition. I got to be honest, when I saw that we were going to do that, I'm like, I wonder if anyone's really going to, no, they lose their minds. They're like, yes. Then we're cutting the nut on angle to the fingerboard. It's the way we used to. And then the last vintage spec is the sleeker, more vintage heel. You wouldn't think about this quite as much, but when the guitar's sitting in your lap, the rare times that you would noodle up here, you feel it. But even if you didn't feel it, just the fact that we're doing it and paying attention to those little details, that's what we're trying to get across. And then we got some new additions to the standard line. So this is, we're introducing two new 17s, Dread and a Triplot. A lot of people are going to look at this and go, well, what's different between this and a 15? All right, it's an all mahogany guitar. This new 17s are actually the entry point to the standard series, kind of like the 15s are your entry point to Nazareth production. This is the entry point to the new standards in that this has the golden era bracing. This is a compound dovetail neck joint as opposed to a simple dovetail. It's got a slightly higher sheen, and it's an enhanced thing. So we're pretty proud of that. For the first time in 30 years, we have an OM in the 45 offering, right? First time in 30 years, and we watched OM sales come up significantly, and we're looking at it and go, why wouldn't somebody want that smaller box in a 45 series? But She is pearly. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like I really love like a basic D18. Like that's my hometown.
mahogany guy?
But if fancy, then it's the 35. It's the 45 with that it's beautiful.
It's killer. It's the one.
Oh, well, hello.
What's better than one guitar, one neck? Yeah, two necks.
Wow.
So there's a young whippersnapper named John Mayer who called our boss Fred Green, our VP of product, and they've gotten close over the years. Fred works directly with him, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to go on this solo acoustic tour. I want a double neck." So Fred remembers that. Oh man, Tim built one in like 2010. Let's go dig it out. Digs it out, still in good shape. Fred lets John borrow it. Goes on tour, videos all over YouTube and socials, and our customer service department phones blow up.
Yeah.
The sales department gets blown up. Custom shop gets blown up. Hey, can we buy one of these? And our CEO and president, Thomas Ripsum, challenges the product team again to, hey, you guys make it. And I don't want it to be custom shop. I want it in the standard line.
Yeah.
So the last time that we offered a double neck to the public was 1910, Mike? 1907.
It's like not yesterday, isn't it?
So it's on the price list. But there's a couple really cool things under the hood here. So obviously two necks, but you've got 3 neck blocks.
Oh, so centered. Plus.
Yeah, and that's for stability, but I think 2 necks, 3 blocks, 2 bridges, 1 bridge plate. And I could swear that there's some sort of combination of just the right amount of connectivity. And then there's also this bit of isolation between the 2 necks where you have just enough crosstalk.
Yeah.
We also worked with Fishman on this, on a special pickup system. Pickup selectors right in here.
Oh wow.
And it's interesting because if you're playing rhythm on the 12 string, and then you hit that harmonic, and then you switch down to the 6, you get a little bit of that archive arch to play over, that trail.
So I'm standing here with Mike, who took over from Joey. Thanks, Joey, by the way. And we're looking at some other models. What is on this wall?
Yeah, so we're really excited to be in collaboration with Billy Strings, bluegrass revivalist guitarist. Really just a crowd favorite here, certainly within Martin and our scene of dreadnought guitars. He's kind of the preeminent player. So we've developed 2 models, and we can grab the D-28 Billy Strings here. This is modeled after his favorite 1940 D-28, so a great guitar that he owns. We've gone cosmetically, certainly, with the herringbone, you'll notice. Spruce top, ebony fingerboard and bridge, so very reminiscent of a 1940s D-28, zigzag purfling, waffle back period correct tuners. So a lot of vintage cues here that make it sort of the vintage herringbone vibe. But there's a few twists because Billy's a very interesting player, and he's played guitars from basically everyone and kind of taken cues that he's liked along the way and wanted to put it into this guitar. So first, 25-inch scale. So for a dreadnought, this is a slightly shorter scale, more in the vein of a triple O. You're going to feel a little bit slinkier when you're playing, and that's great for that style of playing that he does where it's very fast leads, very fast picking. Second is a 1 in 23/32 nut width. So that's right in between where we would typically do 1 in 11/16 and 1 in 3/4. he chose to go right in the middle. So it's a really interesting hybrid nut width, and you have to play it to experience it, obviously, but that's the idea. So this is more in the vein of a proper D-28. Here we have a more affordable option. Same cues with the 25-inch scale, same nut width, same barrel shape. I should say it's a custom Billy barrel shape on both of these guitars. But this is within the X series, so a little bit more affordable. Spruce top though, ebony bridge and fingerboard, Brazilian rosewood HPL back and side, so really beautiful, patterned after some specific sets we had at the factory. And Grover open back tuners. Really great guitar.
Nice.
So our president and CEO, Thomas Ripsum, has the CEO line at his disposal, and this is the next iteration of that, the CEO 11, limited to 1,111 units. You'll sense a theme with 11 here. Thomas felt that was the master number, or is a master number, and it's sort of inspiring creativity and just a peaceful nature, and it has all of these interesting cues, so we've sort of tried to incorporate that numerology throughout. An unalome inlaid into the head plate, which we've never done. It's another spirituality inlay, and a custom rosette here, absolutely unique to this instrument, with pearl and wood. And you'll probably notice, most notably, the striking blue top. It's a blue burst that we're calling New Horizons Blue. Beautiful back and sides with figured oak. Oak.
Wow. I
Yeah.
was wondering what that is, because it's not a very typical wood grain to see on guitars.
You can see just really beautiful pores, and then that striation of the grain. It's just a really beautiful wood, and it's really an interesting tone wood. I'm glad Thomas chose this. I'm not super familiar with oak before this instrument, but it's really unique and beautiful sounding. Flamed maple neck, right? Complements quite well with the oak. 3-piece back. Beautiful guitar.
Absolutely.
So here we have the D3 Millionth, commemorating our 3 millionth serialized guitar. It's a huge landmark for us, and we take these very seriously. It's a way to commemorate not only the brand, but the employees, and that's what this is really commemorating. And Chris was gracious enough to sort of share the commemoration and say, this model is truly about the & Co portion of Martin & Company. Gives me chills just saying that, right? So to be part of this legacy is really huge for me, and I know that many of us feel that here. So a lot of really cool things going on here. The top is inlaid with 192 rings. It's the idea of a tree growing, and each ring is sort of symbolizing each year through time, and there's landmarks with diamond inlay for each historic year for us, unique models, Civil War, world events, that kind of thing. The top has a palladium pickguard with Nazareth, which has basically been our headquarters since the mid-1800s, since CF the First left New York, with 3 key locations. Our first factory or facility on Cherry Hill, then at North Street, and most finally where we are currently at Sycamore Street in Nazareth. The back is a sycamore tree representing, Sycamore Street, the tree theme. It's an exercise in making a guitar a piece of art, and this is truly a very tasteful piece of art. So here we have the D-300. This is a more subdued, and that word is used very loosely in that sense, because it's just a simplified version of the D3 millionth. There will only be one D3 millionth for sale at a very hefty price tag. This will be limited to 30 instruments, so a few more available, obviously, but still quite limited in nature. So no palladium pickguard here, just ebony with still rubies, right? Still jeweled out, and an absolutely beautiful guitar. So here we have the Retro Plus. 2 new models, the DE Retro Plus and the Triplo E Retro Plus. These are in addition to the Road series. And what is Retro Plus, you may ask? What we're trying to go for here is, as I said, 18 style appointments, ebony fingerboard, bridge, the rosette very reminiscent of such, black binding, mahogany back and sides, right? And these are just a great value for the player looking for a true Martin with a little something extra in that torrefied top.
Wow. Mike, thank you so much for walking us through all the new stuff. And you guys let us know in the comments below if there's anything you want to know about these guitars. You'll find, of course, links in the description box as well. And just have an awesome weekend. Thanks, Mike.
My pleasure. Thanks for joining us.